The people of God had decided to turn away from him and stop following his commands. But God still loved his people and wanted to be friends with them, so he gave them people called judges. Our story today is about Deborah, who was one of the judges God appointed. It was her job to settle arguments among the Israelites and guide people back to God. She was also a prophet, which means she heard messages from God and told them to his people. Long before Deborah, Israel had been invaded by the king of Canaan, who left his commander, a man called Sisera, in charge. He was very powerful and bullied the people of Israel. After a long time, they realized they couldn't stand up to him without God's help, and that's when Deborah steps in. She heard a message from God and sent for a man called Barak. God had told her they would be able to defeat Sisera if Barak took his men to Mount Tabor, and that Sisera would be defeated by a woman. Barak was a bit worried and said he would go if Deborah went with him. Now Sisera had heard the army was coming for him, so he got his own army together to fight them off. Deborah could have been scared, but she knew that God was on their side. When the battle came, all of Sisera's men were swept away by the river, leaving Sisera running for his life. He took refuge in the tent of a lady called Jael. She gave him food and water, and when he slept she killed him, putting an end to his cruelty to the Israelites. Deborah and Barak rejoiced and praised God for defeating their enemies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. So thank you, Naomi, for another wonderful video. So yes, today we are learning all about Deborah. Now, Deborah might be someone that you might not have heard about in the Bible, so we are just going to unpack her a bit more today. So just like Naomi said, she was a judge, that was her job, and she would hear directly from God, and then she would tell the people God's plan and God's message.
Yeah, and two things that, Deborah's, really known for, and that we can see when we read about what she did in her life. And two things that we really want to look at today is firstly how she just trusted God. Regardless of what was going on around her, she was so faithful in acknowledging and knowing that God had a good plan for her and her people, and that she, whatever happened, was going to trust in him. And also that she wasn't distracted by everything that was going on, by what other people might be believing, what other people might be saying or doing. She wasn't distracted, she just solely focused on her God and trusted in him. So we've got a few activities, haven't we, that we're going to be doing with Noah and Lily and Piper. So we'll get on to that.
So, for one of today's games, I would like you to try and remain focused, okay? So I would like you to stay focused on the task that I am going to give you, okay? So Lily, you're going to go first, and I would like you to stand on one leg, okay? Get your balance. Okay, now Noah and Piper, I would like you, without touching Lily, try and put her off. So you can pull funny faces, make silly noises, and see if you can try and remain focused. They each had a go trying to not put their feet down. After the video, why don't you have a try and see how long you can last? Now we know that Deborah also trusted God, so we have created a little course where you are blindfolded and you have to try and get to the end. And you have to trust the person guiding you, making sure that they would keep you safe and would help you reach the end safely. So you can have some fun at home, trying different courses of your own, trusting the person guiding you.
Okay, now here. Crawl down on it. Now keep crawling until I say stop. Okay. Keep crawling until I say stop. Crawl until I say stop. Okay. Keep crawling. Now keep crawling till your head bumps on. There we go. Okay. Now stand up. Where you feel, because you're
So we hope you've enjoyed today and you learned a little bit more about who Deborah was. So Matt's just going to finish to pray and we will see you next week.
Brilliant. Yes, Lord, we thank you so much that we have such great examples in the Bible throughout the whole book of people that love you, that followed you, that were faithful, that were strong, that were bold, that were courageous, that were wise. And Lord, we just want to pray that we can be more like Deborah in our day-to-day lives, wherever we are, at school or at home or with our friends, that we know that